All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. I'm joining you today from Cairo. So if you hear any background noise, because I live near the airport. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks. Inshallah, today we'll be continue reading from the 12th word. And I'll start with a short dua and then we can go ahead and read together. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم صل وسلم على محمد. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So we've been discussing for maybe almost 2 months now the idea of wisdom, and more specifically the Quranic wisdom. And the verse that this word emphasizes is right here in front of us. And he who has been given wisdom has been given great good. وَمَنْ يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. And we've been talking about how is that so? How is the Quranic wisdom unique, I guess we can say. So let's continue reading. I believe we stopped here from the last time. So I'll start reading from here. And again, as usual, whenever you feel like, oh, we need to stop and like highlight a part of the paragraph or ask a question, please do so. So after the Quran, at the second level, the holy books and revealed scriptures have superiority according to their degree. They have their share from the mystery of that superiority. If all the fine words of all men and jinn, which do not issue from the Quran, were to be gathered together, they still could not attain to the sacred rank of the Quran and imitate it. So far, the author is acknowledging that there are other books and scriptures that is worthy of appreciation, particularly if it's a revealed scripture or a holy book. However, or meanwhile, there's nothing like the Quran. If all men and jinn were to be gathered together, they still could not attain to the sacred rank of the Quran and imitate it. If you want to understand a little of how the Quran comes from the greatest name and from the greatest level of every name, consider the universal elevated statements of Ayatul Kursi and the following verses. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And with him are the keys of the unseen. O God, Lord of all dominion. So right now what we need to be doing is to sort of read through the verses and try to see how are these verses reflecting the greatest name, or how are they reflecting the greatest level of every name. There are many examples, and we'll continue reading them. Another example is, he draws the night as a veil over day, each seeking the other in rapid succession. He created the sun, the moon, and the stars, all subject to his command. O earth, swallow up your water, and O sky, withhold your rain. The heavens and the earth, and all within them, and all within them extol and glorify him. The creation of you all and the resurrection of you all is but like that of a single soul. We did indeed offer the trust to the heavens and the earth and the mountains. So what I noticed when I was reading these verses is that these verses are describing the earth and the heaven and the day as living things, as though they have some will or consciousness. I feel that the verses are asking me to look closely and beyond what meets my eyes. I find it interesting that the author of the verse speaks of these things as though it is easy for him to see, understand, articulate, and deliver. I'm apologizing for the background noise. I hope it's not too loud. What are you noticing about these verses? If anything, does it reflect wisdom? Does it reflect anything unique? Go ahead, Farah.
Could you please scroll to the top of where we read from today? Thank you. So the first question, actually, I was just wondering is that if, so we've been considering the Quran as the universe, as the speech of God also, or in the same light, just a different type of manifestation. So words and letters are one expression, and then creation is another expression of the same speech. So in this first line where it says, after the Quran, the second level is the holy books, revealed scriptures, have superiority according to their degree. What do we understand about the degrees of, I guess, expression, I guess, divine expression or manifestation? How are we to understand these different degrees in the context of the universe as the Quran?
Go ahead, Brother Adi.
Yeah, it is a good question, as usual. MashaAllah, our friends are asking very good questions relevant to our subject directly. I think we are all familiar that, for example, let's assume that we are studying physics in college. Now, we have some textbooks, and these textbooks are talking about physics and every great details of physics at their level. But if you go and see people studying physics in graduate education, their textbooks and their articles, journal articles, have different level of approaching the subject. So they are all talking about the same matter, but at the same time, the going into the details and also comprehension of the subject of physics varies between the different levels of studying the universe as far as the subject of physics is concerned. The Quran says, I comprehend or I include the highest level of manifestations of the Creator's names and introducing God the Creator at the highest level that the human capacity can comprehend, can understand, and appreciate. The others also are talking about it, but details are different. If we have time and study, for example, other sacred books as well, which are divinely revealed books, scriptures, we can see the difference actually. But if we don't really study how, for example, how God introduced in Torah, especially the Torah is very important in this case, because the Bible doesn't really give detailed explanation of the creation. It is not about that. The subject is different. Now, when you compare it with Torah, you understand the difference. How they mention, how they talk about the creation, how they talk about belief in hereafter. For example, you don't see much emphasis on belief in the hereafter or resurrection in Torah. So belief in angels, yes, there are mention, they mention about the angels, but not the Quran presents it. There is a different levels. Definitely, you can easily see it. For example, talking about the necessity of the prophethood, the messenger, is also another subject. Better that we can compare with Torah text and the Quran text. So how much emphasis on following the prophets and mission of the prophets in great detail in the Quran. Whereas in the Torah, very rough presentation of the messengers, prophets, who bring news about the future of people, but especially a certain tribe. It is limited to the problems of the children of Israel. Whereas Quran doesn't limit at all. That's why we have to understand carefully. That is essential for us to understand. Quran never, ever restricts its message to Muslims, contrary to the general culture. Quran never mentions about Muslims as we write it with capital M. It means as an identity. When the Quran mentions about Muslims, it has nothing to do with an identity, with a title at all. It is just a description of a person submitting his existence, his life to its creator. It has nothing to do with identity at all. That is why Quran is not the book of Muslims addressing to human being in general. Whereas when we see the Torah and including the Bible, they speak to the children of Israel, to a certain people, not all humanity. And Quran bases its common point in belief in the creator of the universe. This is the meaning of the word used in the Quran as the believers. There is no restrictions really that they should necessarily believe in the religion of Islam, but more general, comprehensive concept is used in the Quran. The believers in, as it is mentioned here, in Rabbul Alameen, which means the Lord of the whole universe. That is the starting point, and these are the people that the Quran addresses. we don't see this generality, we don't see the details, and also all the verses in their translation, I looked at the translation, it doesn't really convey the message that the author is going to give, because everything, with no exception at all, obeys the Creator's will. Whereas in other divinely revealed scriptures, God is introduced as the creator of the whole universe in general, whereas Quran introduces the creator of the universe not in general, of course, including that the creator of the universe in general, but goes into details, how every single being manifesting, declaring the glory of its creator. It means absoluteness of the qualities of the creator in any respect. Whatever you say, the power of God is manifested in each single being. Each single being we can imagine as minute as possible. God's absolute knowledge is manifesting in each single being. God's absolute wisdom, etc. Every quality of God is introduced as witnessed in each single being. We never see these details in other divinely revealed scriptures, and also other inspirations as well. We studied last week. Inspirations to the according to the capacity of the person or people who can think of, also is limited to the capacity of the person, people. But we have to be careful. Quran never speaks according to the capacity of the people, but according to the level of their createdness. Human beings are not absolute beings. So there is a difference. For example, I can understand, we took the example of physics. Physics, that much, and this teacher speaks to me according to my capacity, maybe to give me opportunity, provide some extra information to go one step ahead only. Whereas Quran is aware that human capacity in potentiality is immense, but practically they need practical examples from the universe. That is why it gives the examples from the universe at the level of createdness, because the addressees are created beings, and gives or explains how they can make sense of it at the highest level. It paves the paves the path, if you like, for human beings to improve their understanding. Why it is not well known among the Muslims? First of all, generally we treat the Quran as addressing to Muslims. That's the general trend among Muslim community. This is a disaster for me, but at the same time, common people cannot comprehend more than this. That is their capacity, not level. Level is different from capacity. Level is createdness. Capacity, although I am created, but I have a very limited knowledge of physics, for example. We should be aware of it. The other disaster, very, very important mistake is going on in the Muslim world, when we introduce the Quran, we introduce the Quran as if Quran is addressing to the contemporaries of the Prophet, or dealing with Quraysh, dealing with the hypocrites of Medina, dealing with the people, tribes around Medina, and how they treated Prophet, etc., etc. All the narrations are treated in its historical context, not universalized it. This is the most important problem, and to me, I mean, how do you say, preventing the Quran to be taken as universal message. But this attitude has been adopted by mostly Muslims themselves. These people identify themselves. So they talk about, they treat the Quran, but most I'm saying there are exceptions. They treat the Quran as if Quran is addressing to the contemporaries of the Prophet and dealing with the problems of that time. And we are just here to take lesson from it. It means an externalized message to me. As if somebody is telling me a story, which is a moral story, I will take lesson from it, but I don't feel that I am in the story. This is what we have to do the difference. We have to be aware of the difference between how to read the Quran as it deserves to be, or how we have been treating the Quran, which is much limited form of understanding the Quran. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Farah. I hope that clarifies what degree could be pointing to, or the different degrees could be pointing to. Would you like to say anything before before I move on to someone else or a different question?
That was helpful to start thinking about the topic. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Anaba, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I was going to your original question, Radwa, and then Ali said, was highlighting it beautifully later on. So I wanted to yes. So Bismillah, O earth, swallow up your water, and O sky, withhold your rain. So you were asking us if you want to repeat your question for everyone.
I think it was like, what are these verses reflecting to you, or how can you tell that if it's coming from the greatest name, or if you find anything unique about it? Mm-hmm.
Right. So today something very subtle came to me, which Brother Ali was highlighting, how each being, how like we're being instructed to begin to see the world anew, with each being reflective of his qualities. And in this ayah, O earth, swallow up your water, and O sky, withhold your rain. Earth and sky are being spoken to, and they're being spoken to with command, but also with the acknowledgement that earth and sky can hear. So for me, this is a very subtle point, but it's very amazing that the beings earth and sky can hear, receive messages, listen, understand. This, the sky can't have that quality by itself. It must have been given the ability to hear and understand. So for a creator of something as immense as the sky or of the earth to not only create substance that has like chemical properties and physical properties, but that has the consciousness to be able to hear, understand, listen, execute. That is really, really amazing. And then to his last point that, I don't know if the earth and sky are reading this ayah right here, but I'm reading it. And what does that mean for me and waking up to my own consciousness, that I have a consciousness that I can hear and understand and execute. And that's really, really like awakening to not only realize that you're here with substance, but that you're here with consciousness, and someone has created consciousness. Thank you. That for me, that's pointing to a very miraculous creator.
Thank you very much for the reflection. Thank you. I appreciate it. I can continue reading the other verses. And let me know if anything comes up for you. So there are 3 more examples. The day that we roll up the heavens like a scroll rolled up for books completed. The second one is no just estimate have they made of God, such as is due to him. On the day of judgment, the whole of the earth will be but his handful. And then finally, had we sent down this Quran on a mountain, you would indeed have seen it humble itself and cleave asunder for fear of God. I think for me, I like how the verses are simplifying the understanding of existence by using things I can see, like such as the mountains, to understand the wisdom of the Quran. And it's reflecting to me that the author really just seems to care to show me what is it that he means. And he's not relying on anything or anyone else. He's actually asking of me to rely on myself to understand and find out who he is. I saw a hand and then it disappeared. Okay, Farah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a small point. I think it's probably a reiteration. So in the paragraph, it says, if all the fine words of all men and jinn, which do not issue from the Quran, were to be gathered together, they still could not attain to the sacred rank of the Quran and imitate it. So thinking about this sentence with the, we can take some of the verses even. The idea being that, yes, we usually do think about the miraculousness of the Quran in terms of its linguistic qualities and structure and so forth. But in relating that to how we've been reading is also that if we take these verses as claims, so, let's take the verse, "O earth, swallow up your water, and O sky, withhold your rain." if you take it as a claim and we try to determine, okay, what must be the quality and capability of a speaker who may be able to order and control and have total dominion or power over anything in existence in here, the earth or sky, just examples of anything that exists, then we would say that yes, like, there is no created being such as man or in jinn, which to me are representing, or I've understood them to be just any other form of conscious being, created conscious being, that no one can claim to do that. Like no one, like nothing in the universe has the capacity to order or have any sort of power or dominion over another created being. And so the fact that you can get all the people in the world together, but you still can't create a single atom, is the connection between, I guess, the statement and these verses that can, one way we can understand what is being asked of us in this section, but I'm sure there are many other points.
Yeah, I wrote down the question you asked. I feel like no one can really claim it. I don't know if this is important to say or not, but like no one really can claim it other than someone who's very confident and ready to show or demonstrate his qualities to prove himself. Yeah, that's what the question got me thinking too. Thank you. Brother Ali, go ahead.
Now, as somehow you touched upon it, I can say the same word, but I cannot prove it. I cannot demonstrate it. But the way the Quran presents the creator, source of existence of the universe, says, I am, as the creator of the universe, can call everything to obey me, and they have to. What does it mean? It is an address to humankind, human beings, that can you find any other source which can say this and make the earth or the sky obey it, other than the one who has created the universe in its entirety, and each part of the universe can act only according to how he willed it to be. Because it is not only a rhetorical challenge, but also we have to pay attention to the meaning it really presents to us. We have to again understand, because I keep telling you this, and because it is not really very much spread among the readers of the Quran, students of the Quran, this point is always missed. Most of the time is missed. What is this point? Quran is the speech, says, I am the speech of the creator of the universe, therefore I am the speech of the creator of human beings as well. So as the creator, I am expected to know your capacity. I am expected to know what I am doing. Accordingly, I am speaking and introducing myself to you, according to your level. So when I read the Quran saying that, okay, obey me, or heavens and earth and mountains, and they have to obey me. I may be able to state it in another way, but convey the same message. This is not the point. Human beings are advised here in this verse, which is unique to the Quranic challenge. Can you find anything in the universe which will have the will to say to the earth and make it, or mountain or an atom, make it obey to its will? It is just a call to human beings to reflect that only the one who is the creator of the entirety of the universe can ideally can say every single thing must obey according to the order I established according to my will. So we cannot assign anything else. We understand that. Look at the people who are trying to formulate how the universe exists with wonderful equations. They cannot show a single thing in the universe which is changing, which is able to change the order of the universe, yet they have to obey the order of the universe. They cannot do anything but whatever the way they are created, they have to obey it. So all the universe is under the control of someone who is not a part of the universe, but at the same time, who is the source of origin of the existence of the whole universe. This idea is presented to us. And this idea cannot be imitated by anyone apart from those people who study the Quran and imitate the Quran. Not originally stated, because this idea cannot be known by human beings as they are limited within the capacity of the universe. So we have to understand that. I can only conclude that the universe must have a creator. I don't know who he is and what is he doing. Even including the very great Muslim scholars, some of them said, yes, the universe is created by God, the one who created the universe, but the things are acting by themselves. That is what the great, even the students of the Quran claimed, because they couldn't comprehend what the Quran is really teaching, because they were the pioneers of thinking about the quality of the Quran, content of the Quran, and questioning to understand it. That's why they can be easily excused without blame. They were just trying to understand what the Quran is teaching. But later on, Islamic scholarship developed, improved themselves, and they realized that this idea is wrong, and only the one who creates the universe can really make every single thing obey his will, because we see that nothing can act on its own, including human beings, although we have free will. But still, while we are using our free will, can we choose anything which is not available within the order of the universe? Can we change the order of the universe, or obey it, follow it? That is what the Quran is emphasizing on. why we don't see really, because we think that the God is introducing himself as his own level, saying that, look, I am the one who makes everything obey to my order. That is God's claim. No, 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 it has nothing to do with it. It is a teaching for me that I have to think about if there is anything else. If there is anything else, who can do what the Quran says the creator of the universe is doing? And I have to think about it. Can I really say that there is anything in the universe which can order others to obey its will? No, everything is obeying the will of the orderer of the order of the universe, establisher of the order of the universe. They cannot do anything but obey. That is what the Quran is introducing, how we should comprehend, how we should understand and believe in God. It is unique. It doesn't have any peer at all in this understanding of the universe and introducing God to human capacity according to human level. Thank you.
Thank you. Annabelle, I saw your hand, but then you put it down. Do you still feel like you want to share your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was just listening to Brother Ali, how maybe my first definition of Quran, maybe like everyone's preliminary definition of Quran as like a mushaf or as a book may not it may not work with the argument that we're having here, because we have not read every single book out there in the world. We haven't read the Native American, we haven't heard all of the Native American traditions, all of the traditions from South America or Africa or Far East Asia, or that, like, so I can't say that the book that I understand in the Islamic tradition that I understand is the only thing out there that presents this argument. For me, the Quran has to mean more than that. And then I can, this is true in my life, that only the meaning and the message that I receive from this revelation has the power to change my perspective of the world in the way that it does. So it has to mean more than just the Mus'haf. It has to be the extension of the meaning in my entire life, and the way that sometimes, I am in a place where I don't see the meaning in the universe, and then other times I do, and it's the place where the perspective where I do see the meaning and I do see the names of a creator present, that for me, that's the Quran going beyond what I know as a book form to its living state, if that makes sense. So that's like what I can confirm from this argument, but I can't confirm it in the way that it's simply a book, because I haven't read every single book out there. And I don't know all the other traditions that have, across the world. Does this make sense? That I'm sort of saying, like, what is our definition of the Quran? And does the second definition, is that more what we're leaning to, the meaning and the way that it changes our entire perspective of the world to become one in which every being must be created and every being is manifesting qualities that are not its own, but that belong to its creator. And we truly see that as an extension of the ayah that have come into our hearts and woken us up and changed the way that we see everything around us.
Yeah, thank you. I think mainly like when we talk about the Quran, we're actually trying to talk about how, the universe is a Quran, the actual book is a Quran, and you as a human being, you're a Quran. So usually we're trying to draw the, like use these three in parallel to understand. And then normally we're trying to focus on like answering existential questions. So it's not about reading every book that's ever been written. It's actually reading every book that responds to these existential questions. And you as a human being, you would expect something from your creator as a form of speech. So that's what we would, that's the form of speech that we would be focusing on. Yeah. Thank you though for the reflection and sharing it. Thank you. Brother Ali, go ahead.
I think this is a very general misunderstanding of this challenge of the Quran. We have to be very careful about this kind of subjects. That how do we say that the Quran is the best or much higher or above the other scriptures that claim to be God, revealed by God or written by great philosophers or I don't know, thinkers. First of all, we have to understand that as our human capacity, human potentiality, transformed into capacity. What do I mean by it? We use our potentiality and learn what is going on in the universe. I think we have the highest understanding of the existence of the universe, nature of the universe, if you like, reality of the beings, as compared to the prior generations. Now the challenge must be presented here as now. For example, the scientific studies developed, improved a lot, and they got into the very minor levels of existence, subatomic world, talking about 12-dimensional existence of the universe, and also universal equations explaining how the universe exists. Do we have anything left behind so that I cannot really confirm the message of the Quran? The more the people improve their capacity, the more people learn about the reality of existence, the teachings of the Quran becomes clearer and also starting to make sense ever before, more than before. What do I mean by it? When I really try to understand what the scientists are saying, the more I learn from them, the more I am convinced that the teachings of the Quran is really answering all of them, but those people who claim to be the scientists and also interpret their findings, their discoveries, their studies, doesn't make sense. I am more and more convinced that the Quran is really giving me the right answer to what's going on in the creation and about the source of existence of the creation. why do I feel more confident? The more the human beings are becoming aware of the reality, just because I am not reading the Quran as a source of information. I am not reading the Quran as a source of knowledge. Or not only me, of course, those scholars that I learned from read the Quran in order to understand the methodology it teaches us. That is the missing dimension in common knowledge among the common people. They read the Quran and see it on the surface as a source of information. For example, it says here, and with him are the keys of the unseen. Oh God, Lord of dominion. Dominion means not mulk, but melekut. What does it mean? The inner meaning, inner message of the Quran, of the creation of the universe declares that we are owned. We are the reflections of the creator of the whole universe. You cannot see any defect in our creation. You cannot see any quality which can be found within the universe. No, all the keys of the unseen. Unseen means the meaning of the universe. The meaning of the universe directly relate and refer to the creator of the universe, who is the source of existence of every single being. It is an absolute being. That is why all the keys of the meaning, the sources of the meaning that we deduct from the universe, the way it is created, refers to the absoluteness of the qualities of the creator. Absoluteness of the qualities of every single being. This is important, not the qualities of the creator of the universe. No, every single being. That is why we don't have to study other books. For example, if someone really reaches the top in learning physics, does he have to study a book which is a textbook prepared for high school students? He knows from the very beginning that he has the top knowledge. He has the top understanding, which doesn't lack anything in his comprehension of physics. As far as this level of understanding of human beings are concerned now, because we have no question which is not answered in the very mainstream line of teaching of the Quran. Very simple things. For example, these verses here, with him are the keys of the unseen, which means everything which reflects the meaning about its message in its creation, says my creator must be an absolute being, which cannot be described in terms of the universe, must be an absolute being. And this concept is introduced to humankind by the Quran. Why should I talk about the spirit, a message or a tradition which talks about the spirit of the universe, which is within the universe? It is not absolute. Universe is limited. That's what we know. It is limited. It is subject to time. From the very beginning, it fails. And I am not interested in reading that one because the highest level of understanding of existence is limited within the universe, according to doctrine of these teachings. But with one exception, which is the Torah. Torah goes beyond the limitations of the universe. Yes, we have to see what is going on in the Torah. When you look at it, it is talking about only addressing to a certain race in the world and giving the news about them only and not emphasizing on the all pillars of belief that fundamental concerns of human beings are summarized there. It's not giving the detailed explanation. Yes, there are some nice things in it, definitely, but when you compare the teachings of Torah and the Quran, you can understand that the Quran is a universal message. It's easily, you don't have to be a scholar of Torah, but we have to train ourselves, excuse me. First of all, I think what we are missing in our education and carried away by cultural Islam, cultural religious information, we are not studying the Quran in order to understand its methodology. That is, for example, when we read the Quran, if we ask ourselves, what are the principles that I am following while I am reading a text, especially a scripture, divine scripture? What are the principles? We don't have any principles. Even some of the, I don't blame them, some of the very early scholars who studied the Quran and wrote commentaries, some of them, not all, they didn't have the principles of reading the Quran, let alone they didn't have the definition of the Quran, which really makes sense, apart from claims. Quran is the speech of God, God's inspiration through Gabriel into the heart of Muhammad. How do you prove all this? It is not a definition at all. But that time, this definition was enough for the believers, for the community. Now it is not. And unfortunately, we are in the 21st century and we don't have the definition of the Quran. I see only one exception, which is defined, who defines the, thank you. We defines the Quran in 40 different perspectives. Can you show any scholar who is aware of this? I don't see. That is why lacking. Muslim community is lacking greatly. And we are just very approaching the Quran at a very shallow way, which is just cultural Islam. It means common people's comprehension of religion. But since we have the capacity to ask the questions, to investigate further, we should go beyond it. We shouldn't just keep repeating the cultural Islam. We have the capacity to ask the question, why don't we use it? That is why the problem still remains in our minds, because we are not really seriously studying the Quran, not taking the Quran seriously, but following cultural information limited to the level of general public. And all of you are educated people, and of course, you wouldn't feel satisfied with the general, the culture of the general public. And you will have still some questions in your mind. That is inevitable. We have to take studying the Quran seriously. That's my last word. Thank you. We are out of time, 10 minutes more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I was hoping that we can finish the 12th word today. But since we're already over time, it's okay. We'll read one last paragraph from the 12th word, and then inshallah we'll start the 13th also as well next time, if we have the time. Thank you all, and thank you very much for being patient.
I think we covered the message.
We covered it.
Yeah, so we can just read it, get the text acquainted with the language of the text, and next week we can start from the 13th word.
Okay. I like that suggestion. Okay. All right. So it says, and study the surahs which begin Alhamdulillah wa tusabbihuhu, and see the rays of this mighty mystery. Look too at the openings of the Alif Lam means, the Alif Lam Ra's, and the Ha means, and understand the Quran's importance in the sight of God. If you have understood the valuable mystery of this fourth principle, you have understood that revelation mostly comes to the prophets by means of an angel, and inspiration is mostly without means. You will have also understood the reason why the greatest saint cannot attain to the level of a prophet. And you will have understood too the Quran's sublimity and its sacred grandeur and the mystery of its elevated miraculousness. So too you will have understood the mystery of the necessity of the Prophet Muhammad's ascension. That is, that he went to the heavens, to the furthest lute tree, to the distance of 2 bow lengths, offered supplications to the all-glorious one, who was closer to him than his jugular vein, and in the twinkling of an eye, returned hence he came. Indeed, just as the splitting of the moon was a miracle of his messengership, whereby he demonstrated his prophethood to the jinn and mankind, so the ascension was a miracle of his worship and servitude to God, whereby he demonstrated to the spirits and angels that he was God's beloved. O God, grant blessings and peace to him and to his family as befits your mercy, and in veneration of him. Ameen. So if you feel like there's something in this paragraph that that you'd like to ask or discuss next week, please let me know. But inshallah, I intend to start the 13th word. I'll go ahead and close with a dua. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا